everyone. Welcome back to Amanda's Booktopia. If you're new here, welcome, and if not, welcome back. And today I am doing a reading log for you guys of reading books that I borrowed off of Libby that I haven't yet read. And they're due in a few days, so I figured now would be a great time to do a reading log and knock those out so I could get those returned to the next person. Because I have books that say 4 people are waiting, 9 people are waiting. And I'm like, you know what? Let's do a reading log and knock these out. So that way, the next person could have a chance to read them. So I have 4 books that I will be reading for this log. First one is the one where 9 people are waiting. So I figured now would be a good time to do that because it's due in 4 days. I am picking up Don't Let Him In by Lisa Jewell. I have read None of This Is True by this author and really enjoyed that one, gave it 4 stars. So I figured, you know what? I'm going to try another one from her. And I've heard some pretty good things about this one. So I am excited to dive on into the story and see what I think. So I'm going to go ahead and get started, and I will keep you guys updated once I have read some. So I'll get back to you guys later. It is now almost midnight on Thursday. This is what also I started the vlog today. I did just finish, just a little bit ago, Don't Let Him In by Lisa Jewell. And wow, was this a ride. I was with it from beginning to end. I was like on the edge of my seat trying to figure out what the heck was going on here. And there was a lot of point of view changes in this book. At first it was confusing, but then I caught on after a little bit, figuring out like which point of view belongs to which person. And I started to understand why it needed all those different POV changes. Because they're all involved in some way. And I was wondering what the heck is going on for the longest time. So I'm like, I don't understand. How does this all tie together? If you stick with it, you'll get the impact of it. Like, I was like, wow. But not to the point where it was a 5-star wow, but a wow where I was like, okay, that was fun. That was like literally a ride I never expected to go on. I thought I was going to go like a whole different way, and I was so wrong. And the last chapter, that epilogue, I'm like, what? It was a crazy epilogue. I totally did not see that epilogue coming whatsoever, by the way. But it was such a fun ride, and Lisa Jewell knows how to put together a compelling story. This is my second book of hers. I'm going to have to keep reading more of her books because both of them that I've read from her so far have been 4 stars. And it's just a really fast-paced story. And I really had a fun time and how it all got put together. So now we got to pick another one off my Libby that I need to read before it gets returned. So that next one I'm going to pull up next is The Robin on the Oak Throne by K.A. Lind, however you pronounce that. I never know if I say something right or not. And this is the sequel to The Wren and the Holly Library, which I read for my book club last year, and I really enjoyed it. I listened to the first one on audio. I even got my fiance Ray to listen to it with me. So this is the cover of The Robin on the Oak Throne. It's a really pretty cover. I almost bought it, like the physical copy, because the actual hardback itself is absolutely stunning. And the art on the reverse jacket is also really pretty. And like the end pages are nice, and I was thinking of buying it. However, I want to read it on my Kindle first, see if it's worth buying, if it's a special edition I really want. But I did really enjoy The Wren and the Holly Library last year. I gave it 4 stars. So I'm going to try and read the sequel now and hopefully get that done because this has to go back in about 4 days. So I'm hoping I'm going to really enjoy this one like I did the first one. The first one I was Beauty and the Beast retelling. However, when I read it, it didn't really feel like a retelling to me. It was like one scene that was a retelling, and the rest of the book had nothing to do with the retelling. But I am looking forward to reading the sequel and seeing where that takes me. So this is going to be fun. Since it is about midnight, I might read a little bit and then do some coloring to relax because I have to work tomorrow. So I can't stay up all night reading as much as I would like to.
As if you haven't before.
I mean, yes, but I have to work tomorrow, so that makes a difference.
Still calling you out.
But I'm going to read what I can now and then save some for tomorrow when I'm done with work. I know I'm going to want to read later. So I'm looking forward to checking out this story and hopefully really enjoying it. So I'll keep you guys updated, hopefully later once I have something for you guys. So I will see you all then. It is now Sunday at about 6:30 in the evening, and it took me all weekend to read this one book. I thought of doing an update yesterday, but I didn't get very far in, and then I decided I figured I'd wait, and then I just never got to it. But now I've finally finished The Robin on the Oak Throne by K.A. Lindy. I think that's how you pronounce it. And it was just what I expected. Nothing more, nothing less. Nothing really surprised me. Nothing really, shocked me. It was all stuff that I kind of, saw coming in a way. But I still enjoyed the way through. There were parts where I was I didn't mind putting the book down because it didn't grip me to the point where I had to keep going. But there were parts I enjoyed. So because of that, I think I'm giving it 4 stars because I really did enjoy the book. I also wasn't really crazy about some of the decision making, and I'm really not crazy about Lorcan. Or Grace, for that matter. I didn't like either one of them in the first book, The Red in the Holly Library. To be honest, I could care less about either one of them. However, I feel like the character that really should be the star, that's not, is Jen. I feel like she's not given enough credit. And she was thrown to the side. Like Kierce, the way she treats Jen sometimes, I feel like, yes, she's your best friend, but you don't treat her like a best friend. Some of the stuff that she says to Jen is not very friend-like. Like, she doesn't want her involved in anything. But she doesn't let Jen have a chance to do much of anything. She says she wants to protect Jen, but she's not. She's telling her she's not, basically showing her that she can't do anything. It brushes her to the side, like, I'll handle this. And to be honest, I don't like that. And it was even more obvious in this second book of the series. I was thinking 4 stars, but now I'm thinking more 3 instead of a 4. Because there were some very predictable moments. And things that I thought would surprise me didn't. However, the end of the book was really sad, I have to admit. Because this is a sequel, I can't talk too much about it. But I feel like if I do, it gives so much away. Because it continues right off the first book.
Don't ruin it for your fiance. Like I ruined Bobby Wars and all.
I mean, there were some good moments. And some really interesting moments with some of the heists going on. But it just didn't grip me, and I just don't like the main characters. I feel like they're Kierce, Graves, and Lorcan. I feel like without them, we'd have a better book. Because I really feel like Jen is a character that should be shown, like should be used a heck of a lot more. I feel like she should have been the star because none of this would have been possible without her. Jen's the one holding them together, I feel. So, to be honest, I could care less about the main characters. I just want more Jen. And maybe a little bit more Ethan also. Because I do kind of like Ethan. And, well, most of the characters I didn't like. It's just those two characters I feel could have carried the book better. So even though I gave it 4 stars, I'm thinking of lowering it down to a 3. I need to talk it through before I really settle on a rating. So yeah, it's gonna be a 3 star. But I will continue the series because the way that it ended, I need to know what's gonna happen next. Especially after that ending. The ending was so sad because of something that happened to one of the characters. I can't really talk about it because I don't want to give anything away. So I will be continuing the series. This one is not my favorite. But I also do own the prequel that I really would like to get to. So hopefully I can get to the prequel sometime soon. Because I think the prequel would be even better than this series. I just have that feeling. So now that we're done with The Robin on the Oak Throne, the next book I am going to be reading. And good thing I got this done in the nick of time because The Robin on the Oak Throne actually has to go back tomorrow. So the next book I am going to be reading that's due in 2 days from now, Before Dorothy by Hazel Gaynor. This is a spin-off of The Wizard of Oz, but make it dystopian. So I'm very excited to get to this because I love The Wizard of Oz and I'm obsessed with Wicked. So I feel like this is going to be an interesting story going into it. So I'm looking forward to seeing how this one goes. I only have 2 days to read this. So I'm going to get started right away, and I will try and keep you guys updated a little bit later. So I'll see you all then. Hey guys, so I just looked up Before Dorothy just for a minute. Cause I'm like, is it dystopian? Actually, it's not dystopian, but it is historical fiction. Because we're in Chicago in 1924 and Kansas in 1932. So it's like a spin-off of Wizard of Oz with like the same characters, but slightly historical. And it's not actually the dystopian like I thought. It's just basically she's on her own adventure again, going from Chicago to Kansas. So it's kind of it sounds kind of interesting. So I'm gonna go back into reading and see if maybe I will like this. I'm hoping so because I love historical fiction. So I'll keep you guys updated and I will catch up later. I am back. It is now 12:43 in the morning. I just finished Before Dorothy. And it took me completely by surprise. I did not think I was going to like it as much as I did. I expected to like it, but not like this much. What I thought the story was going to be like was completely the opposite. So I thought we are going to be like in Wizard of Oz times, at least kind of like that, but with historical elements. But what I got instead was historical fiction, a tiny bit of magical elements here and there. Like, for example, they had characters that were remodeled after the actual Wizard of Oz. And what I thought was going to be Dorothy's story was really not Dorothy's story. It was more of her aunt, Auntie M. It was really her story the whole time. And I really enjoy that aspect because in the real Wizard of Oz, we know nothing about Auntie M before the Wizard of Oz actually happens. And so in this one, we got to get her whole backstory up until that point. And it was really interesting, this author's take on it. And I did not expect it to go the way that it did. Like, I was surprised to see all these Irish influences and that she comes from an Irish family. And I totally did not see that coming. I thought they were just like a normal American family. Not in this one. So that was kind of interesting. And this was mostly taking place during the Great Depression and the Dust Bowl era, like when all the dust storms happened, basically. And it was rather fascinating getting to like read Auntie M's story during real life things. And it wasn't what I was quite expecting, but I actually really enjoyed the aspect of that. And I also really surprisingly enjoyed the family aspects of what it means to be truly happy with your family and what love really means. It goes beyond so much of Wizard of Oz. It goes beyond that, like about sisters and about knowing your place in the world and where you come from and where you're going and what love really means. And I really love that aspect of it. I did not think this book would go so deep into that kind of family thing, but it really did, and it really kind of hit home. And like how much family really means. So I really enjoy the story. And I will definitely be reading more from this author at some point because her writing really draws you in. I was sucked in. I did not want to put it down. I just had to keep going. And it was a short, quick story. So I'm glad I got through it so quick because I had like one more day left on it. It was 2 days, but then it turned into one day because it's past midnight and all. But I got it done so fast. Like, so it was definitely a 4 star. And I would definitely be reading more from this author at some point because she really knows how to tell a story. I mean, it's so much more than Wizard of Oz. Like, I mean, I saw bits and pieces, like, of different characters that resemble different characters from the Wizard of Oz. So I thought that was kind of cool. And like, I'll definitely be reading more of of this author for sure. She definitely knows how to tell a story. But now that that one's over, I have 3 books left. I did say at the beginning of this video I didn't have that many, but I added a couple of new ones. One I borrowed, and the other one was a hold that came in. So I figured, you know what? I'll add them onto this video. We're gonna at least do 3 more for this video. So the next one I plan on reading, it's not due for another 9 days, so I have a little bit of time. That is The Missing Half by Ashley Flowers. Now, I know people that been watching my channel last year were like, now Amanda, you almost threw her last book across the room. Yes, I did. However, I want to give her one more shot. So I am going to try this one. I know my bestie Nikki was not crazy about this. I want to give it a go and see if this is going to be any different from her last book. Because her last book, I hated that ending so much. I really was going to throw that book across the room. But I want to give her one more shot and see if I could like a different book from her. And maybe this one will not have an open ending because I hate open endings. But since it's almost 1 in the morning, I'm going to wait till later to start this one. I have to get out for the day since, the community that I live in, the power is going to go down for a few hours and they need us to get out of here so they can work on some stuff. So I'll be going out for a few hours at least until they're done with that. So I might not be reading till I get home once the power is back on. So if that happens, I'll be starting The Missing Half probably around 3 in the afternoon, maybe 4, whenever I get home. So I'll be out for quite a while. So hopefully I'll have an update for you guys. Probably either nighttime. Hopefully. We will see how it goes. So I want to go try and get some sleep because I need to get up early. And I will catch up with you guys on the missing half later on. Hi everyone, it is now Monday and almost 10:40 in the evening. And I was just saying it right, it feels so much later than it actually is.
Yeah. It's so amazing. It's as if time just doesn't pass.
Just flies.
So fast, you don't know what's happening.
Well-
One minute, I'm sitting here, the next minute, you're filming. Just kidding.
It does feel a lot later. It feels like it's midnight and it's not even close. But I did start the missing half today. I started at about what time was it when I started? I know it was like around close to dinner time, like 5-ish.
5 or 6 maybe.
Cause I took a nap after I got home. I am not a morning person, and I had to be up real early today, so I'm like, I needed a nap. So I took a couple of hours and took that nap. So that really helped. And then I started on the missing half, and it was a fast read. I just finished it like just a little bit ago. I did not think I was going to get through it so quickly, but I didn't realize it was such a short book. But it was a very interesting story that I wasn't expecting to go on this kind of journey. So we're basically following this girl who's trying to solve like her sister's disappearance. And then another girl comes into play and she's trying to solve her sister's disappearance. And how like everything ties together, and there was so many red herrings. I thought so many different things. Except for one thing I did predict right in the end. It was just one small part that I predicted. But everything else, like, completely surprised me. And to be honest, not in the best way. I did not like the direction the story took. I was really hoping for something else to happen, and that wasn't the case. I was kind of bummed out the way it actually ended. At least this time, it did not have an open ending. Now I'm like, thank the Lord. I would have tossed that book across the room if there was. But luckily, there was no open endings on this one. So I'm like, what a relief. But the way that it ended, did feel still a bit abrupt. Like, wait, that's it? Like, as soon as I turned the last page, I'm like, wait, that was the last page? I thought more was going to happen. And I'm like, well, okay then.
So it's safe to say you don't like open endings.
Everybody who knows me knows I hate open endings. And this one was not an open ending. It just was very, abrupt. And I wasn't too crazy about that. I mean, there were parts of the story that I actually liked. And this one has an unreliable narrator, which I thought was interesting in this case. And things that happened, like some of it, I kind of enjoyed more than others. It's just the direction that it took. I did not like the direction that it ended up taking in the end. And how things wrapped up. I don't want to talk about too much about it for those that want to read it. But for me, I didn't like how it went. It started good, and then just went in a direction that I'm like, can we not? So, because of that, I'm going kind of in the middle with this with a 3-star. Because I liked part of it, and another half I didn't like. So, it was an interesting, fast-paced story. And I would still recommend for those that like quick mystery thrillers that really keep you guessing. Because this did keep me guessing for the most part. There's not much I predicted. It was just a tiny, small part. Like, from the beginning. But everything else was a complete surprise. And the motivations for the characters and why they did what they did was interesting. It's just, I didn't like why they did what they did. If that makes any sense. So I still recommend for those that like weird plots, because it was kind of a weird plot to me. But for me, it just wasn't great. It just felt a little bit flat. So 3 stars. And now we're moving on to another book that I got off Libby. And that is A Treachery of Swans by A.B. Poranek. And I have not read this author's first book yet, When the Dark Stands Still. I do want to read that. But this one's a Swan Lake retelling, and retellings are one of my favorite genres, besides fantasy romance. So this one sounded really interesting to me. And I'm kind of excited to dive into this. I have the audio for the author's first book, When the Dark Stands Still. At some point, I do want to get to that, but right now, this is a priority because I love retellings and I do like Swan Lake, so I'm interested to see how this one goes. So, considering it's not too late yet, I'm probably going to start reading now and do a little bit of reading, and then I will be going back. I'm going to the library tomorrow, so I'll take it with me and do some reading while I'm at the library. So,
what a concept. Reading at the library.
And I'll probably grab some lunch while I'm out before I come home. I am excited to dive into this, so I'm going to go ahead and get started, and hopefully I'll have an update for you guys either, if not tonight, then definitely tomorrow. So I will see you all then.
Dive on.
It is now really early Sunday morning, going into the 20th, and I know I've been gone for a while. I haven't done an update in super long, it feels like.
Gone.
I just haven't been in the reading mood as much during the week, and so that's why I haven't really done any updates. I just wasn't in the reading mood. But just a little bit ago, I did finally, well, earlier, like the 19th, before going into the 20th, I finally picked my Kindle back up and finally continued and finished A Treachery of Swans. So now I'm officially done with that book, and now I can talk about it. I don't remember if I mentioned last time when I talked about it that it was a Swan Lake retelling, and I didn't realize that it had these gothic vibes, and I really enjoyed that. And there was some fantasy in there too that I wasn't quite expecting. I knew there was some magic, but it went like kind of beyond that scope a little bit into like goddesses and things that I completely wasn't expecting. And I actually really enjoyed that aspect of like the gothic fantasy vibes that was going on. And I was also surprised there was an LGBTQIA relationship that happens. But I was so here for it, and I really enjoyed my time with it. I landed on a 4-star after finishing. I wasn't obsessed with it, where I had to like. I think that was part of why I wasn't in the reading mood during the week. So I wasn't obsessed enough to like just keep going. But eventually, once I picked it back up, I got sucked back into the world, and I actually really enjoyed it more than I thought I would. I enjoyed it enough that I even put a hold on the author's other book, like the book that she wrote last year that I haven't read yet. So I put a hold on that one because now that I've read this one, I'm kind of interested to see what else the author does. So I decided to go back to her debut, and on Libby, I put a hold on it, and I'm first in line. So hopefully soon I could get to that. Because I'm really interested in this author now that I've read this book. It was really a lot of fun, and I really enjoyed the magic that was in it. I didn't like a couple of the characters. There was a couple of twists that I kind of saw coming, but overall, it was a fun time, and I'm looking forward to reading more from this author. And now that I'm done with that book, I have another book I need to read for the Thrills and Chills Book Club. So I think I'm going to read that next and then come back to my Kindle afterwards and read some more Kindle books. So I'm going to go ahead and start on my book club book. And then once I'm done, I'll come back and let you know what I'm going to read on my Kindle next. I have no clue what I want to read on my Kindle next. So I needed this break, anyways, so I can figure that out. And then once I know for sure, I'll be back to let you guys know what I will be reading that I have borrowed off of Libby. So hopefully, and next time you see me, I will be telling you all about it. So I will see you guys. It is now Thursday, the 24th, and it's been a few days since I have been doing other things. I read my book club book and I read my buddy read book. So those are done, and I could go back to my Kindle again. So just looking to see what I should read next. And I have a bunch of books that I have off of Libby. Let me just see if I can pull those up. And I have a list. So I have 3 books that are due in 5 days, one due in 9 days, and another one due in 10 days. So I figured I'll do the ones that are due in 5 days. And since I'm fast at reading, I could probably get these done super quick, I'm hoping. So I'm gonna go by like the ones that are due in 5 days by how many people are waiting. So we have a book that has 1 person waiting, another one with 5 people waiting, another one with 10 people that are waiting. So I figured I'll go by the people with have the most people that are waiting. So the one that have 10 people that are waiting that is due in 5 days is A Resistance of Witches by Morgan Ryan. And as soon as I saw what this one was about, I'm like, ooh, color me intrigued. So this is basically like a discovery of witches, but make it historical. Well, a discovery of witches is already historical. But this one takes place during World War II, and there's witches, and there's a book that's kind of like the grimoire from A Discovery of Witches. I'm like, ooh, interesting. Even though I never finished the Discovery of Witches series, I read the first 2 books of that series, I believe, and I never finished it. I should probably go back and reread and finish out the series at some point. Maybe I will. But this one sounded really interesting because it sounded just like A Discovery of Witches. So I'm like, ooh, let me give this one a go. This one's during World War II, and that's really all I know. I don't know much else. But I want to go in. This only has like 400 something pages. I feel like I could probably knock this out either tonight or tomorrow morning. Hopefully tonight. That way I have less days to get to the rest of the books that I need to read before they get returned. So I am very excited to dive on into a resistance of witches. So I'm going to go ahead and get started. Now I'll keep you guys updated later on. So I will see you all then. It is now almost 5:30 in the morning, going into Friday. I kind of stayed up all night reading this book. Like, seriously, I just finished it just a little bit ago. And I needed to sit with my thoughts before I could really explain them. So, this story, A Resistance of Witches, I just finished it. And I really enjoyed the book. Don't get me wrong. However, it seemed a lot on the nose to A Discovery of Witches. And there was only like slight changes here and there with like a couple of the characters and their intentions towards the characters, and the way they had this academy set up in this book was slightly different. However, for the most part, I don't remember exactly, because it's been a while since I've read A Discovery of Witches. I can't remember exactly how on the nose it is to certain, like, when it comes to their powers necessarily, but everything else were so similar. The only difference was in this was that it was set during World War II. And then there's this other witch group that was helping Hitler during that time. And that's really the only main difference I felt that was different from a Discovery of Witches. But overall, I still had a fun time with it. It was very enjoyable. It just reminded me a little bit too much of the other series. I feel like it it didn't have the 5-star feeling. Even though as much as I enjoyed it, I wasn't quite there. Some of the emotions I did feel, but not enough to bring to the surface, if that makes any sense. But overall, it was a very interesting read, and I would recommend. If you haven't read A Discovery of Witches yet, I'd start with this one. Just because I feel this has a little bit more witchy vibes, I feel, than A Discovery of Witches. I liked how in this particular instance, uh, in this particular book, that a romance did not actually develop, which is the other difference compared to A Discovery of Witches. I thought there might have been, but I was glad to see that there was no actual romance, that it was mostly centered on what the heck was going on in this world. So that's why I enjoyed it probably more than I typically would have. But because of the historical aspects, it was definitely a 4-star. And I would definitely still recommend this. Just wasn't quite a 5-star yet. However, the next book that I am ready to dive into is like 5 people waiting on this one. And it's due in like 4 days. So I figured now would be a good time to get started. However, because of how late it is, it's almost 5:30 in the morning, I'll probably start this later. But I am very much interested in starting it soon. This is Party of Liars by Kelsey Cox. And this is a thriller. And all I know about this one is that it's like a locked door mystery. So I'm very much interested to see what happens in this one. 'Cause I've heard mostly good things about it. So I'm excited to get started and see where my thoughts lie on this one. So I'm probably gonna go get some sleep because of how late it is, and I will start this later. So once I get some reading in, I'll definitely let you guys know what I'm thinking later on. So I will see you all then. It is now Friday at about almost 6:40 in the evening, and I just finished Party of Liars. I started it earlier this afternoon, I think around 3ish. It was a short read. It only took me like a few hours. I stopped for an hour or so for a live show. To be honest, though, I really did not vibe with this book at all. I was so bored that I was skipping stuff just to like read dialogue. And I'm like, can we just move the story along, please? I, I mean, there was some, there was like a little bit of build up, like in between. Like we're going between several different character point of views on this one, and I could care less about these characters. They were all so annoying, so surface level, so boring. The only one I maybe could care a little bit was the nanny, Orlaith. I don't know how you pronounce her name. I know it was Irish. I just don't know how to pronounce it right. She was the only one that was maybe partially interesting. Everybody else, I hated them with a passion. I'm like, can we just move on, please? This is boring as heck. And we find out stuff later on towards the end of it. And what actually happened, I hated the ending. The body that actually, the dead body that everybody was so worried about, not who I expected to be at all. I thought it was gonna be so many other people. Like I had thoughts of maybe of a couple of different people that I thought it could be, but who it actually was, and then the reasoning behind it, I just hated it. I did not like how that went. I, and and all the people surrounding this young girl, Sophie. She's like the everyone that the one girl that everybody dotes on. And we're at her birthday party while all this is happening. Before, like leading up to the party, during the party, and after the party. And I'm like, poor Sophie. With everyone she has to deal with at this party. Every single person surrounding her are just so nasty, and the way they treat each other, I couldn't deal. The only reason why I nearly gave this a 1 star. I gave it 2 stars. Mostly because the body was not who I thought it was going to be. That's the only reason why it's a 2 star. It would have been a 1 star otherwise. Because it was the only thing I'm like, wait, huh? And the reasoning behind it, of how it ended up that way, and all the other character motivations, I'm like, what is wrong with you people? I really had such a hard time with this book. And it's a book I will not recommend. It was supposed to be a locked door. A lot of the party was also outside. So how is it locked door? I don't understand. Like, there was people in the pool at one point. So I'm like, how is this locked door? I could not compute in my head. So, yeah, this was an experiment that failed miserably, in my opinion. But I'm glad that's over, because I have another book that I've heard even better things about. So I'm excited for this one. So I've been wanting to read it ever since I heard about it, and has never actually done it until my friend Karina read it, and she really enjoyed it. So I'm like, okay, this is back on my radar. Let me give it a shot. So I borrowed it off of Libby. It was free to borrow at the time when I looked it up. So I'm like, cool, let's try it. So we are going to go with next, Don't Let the Forest In by C.G. Drews. Plus, one of my sister's middle name is Drew, so I'm like, okay, maybe this is a sign. So I'm looking forward to trying this one. I know this is more horror-esque, and it's YA, so I'm like, this should be interesting. So I'm gonna get started on this, and hopefully I'll have an update for you guys later. I'm hoping this will be a much better book than Party of Liars was. So I will keep you guys updated later on. Hi everyone, it is now almost 9:30 in the evening on Friday, and I did just finish Don't Let the Forest In. It was a fast read. I didn't realize how short it was. And it had a very interesting concept. And I really did like the representation of the LGBTQIA that was in the story. I did appreciate that. And I also did find some of the twists interesting. However, I didn't love it, but I also didn't hate it. It was just like an interesting story. It kept my attention. I did like parts, and then other parts were like way out of left field. And like, what the heck was that ending? It didn't feel like an ending at all. I'm like, what the heck? I turned the page and I'm like, that's it? Really? That's it? So I was a little bit disappointed by the end, but it wasn't a bad book, but not one that I loved. So I'm selling on a 3 star because it did have some interesting plot points and twists that I didn't see coming. So now that it's over, I'm going on to my next book that's actually not due for like 8, 9 days from now. But I wanted to read it because I've been hearing people really rave about this book and really enjoy it. So I'm like, okay, I'll give it a shot too. So I have Terror at the Gates by Scarlett St. Clair. It's, from what I heard, is an urban fantasy. That, from what I heard, is being compared to Crescent City by Sarah J. Maas. So I'm like, ooh, interesting. So I'm going to give this one a go. I'll go ahead and get started. And hopefully I'll have an update for you guys later on tonight. If not, then I will tomorrow. So hopefully I'll catch up with you guys all then. It is actually really, really late. It is about 3:40 in the morning on Sunday. And I decided to stay up and finish Terror at the Gates. I could have done an update earlier, but I decided not to. I kind of wanted to finish it first because I was really enjoying my time with it. And by the end of it, I really had a good time. I'm excited for the sequel because I want to see where this series goes. I'm curious. After what just happened at the end, I'm like, okay, I'm into this. I need to know what's going to happen next. So whenever the sequel comes out, I will be getting that sequel. But I'll probably end up getting the ebook since I don't own a physical copy of the first one. However, I really had a fun time with this book. There were a lot of things that really amped it up for me. I love the slow burn romance in this one, and that like the spicy scenes didn't happen till like practically almost near the end. So I love that built that's the way they built up the or amped up the romance and really had them like going back and forth until like they finally crack at the end. I loved that. And I loved all the magic in this book and the history of where everything came from. And I just really enjoyed this world. However, I don't like one of the rules of their world about how like women they're not allowed to like do anything or for themselves. Like the men have to do everything for them. Even order their food for them at a restaurant. They're not even allowed to order for themselves. I did not like that. But because it's part of that world, I can't really like knock it per se. I just don't like it personally because I'm a woman and I would never want anyone to order for me. So personally, I was a little bit offended at that point. However, I enjoy the rest of the world and the writing, and it was a fairly easy read, and I had fun with it overall. So I'm excited to see where the series goes later on. So whenever the sequel comes out, I will be continuing because I want to know after that ending what's going to happen. Like it wasn't a shocking ending. Parts I did see coming, but there was one extra thing right at the end. I'm like, wait, what? So I'm curious. I want to know what's going to happen with that. So I will be reading that series once the other books come out, for sure. But now that's over, I have returned the book. Now we're going on to another Kindle book. Yes, I tend to get a lot of Libby books. And this vlog just keeps going and going. Eventually, I will have to stop this vlog because it's going to be way too long. But I want to do at least a couple more before we end this vlog because I'm having a really fun time doing this. I need to do this more often. But the next book that I have on hold that's supposed to go next, I still have a lot of time on this one, but I wanted to read it because my friends Karina and Dana have read this one, and I know I think Dana said it was like 5 stars for her. I'm pretty sure. And I think Karina said she really enjoyed it too. I can't remember what she rated it though. But I'm excited to give it a go. So hopefully I will love it as much as they did. And this is The Other Side of Now by Paige Harbison. And it's a really pretty cover, too. This was also a Book of the Month book. And I wanted to read it, but I didn't want to buy it physically in case I didn't love it enough to, like, have my money go to waste. You know what I mean? So instead of buying it on Book of the Month, I borrowed it off of Libby. So we'll see how this goes. I'm excited to check it out. All I know is that there's magical realism, and the main character ends up going into an alternate reality. And I do really like books with alternate realities. So I'm curious to see how this one's going to go. So even though it's kind of late, and I have a live show later in the afternoon, so I won't be up too much longer. But I want to read at least a little bit. So maybe like, I don't know, 30 minutes or so. Maybe an hour at the most, and then it's bedtime for me. Because I do need to get some sleep with a live show happening in the afternoon. So I will start at least a little bit, and then I'll give you guys an update later on once I've gotten some more reading in. So I'll catch up with you guys later. It is now almost 5:30 p.m. on Sunday the 27th, and I have thoughts, and lots of them. So you know how I started The Other Side of Now, like, in the middle of the night? Well, apparently it sucked me right in from page 1. I did not want to put this book down. I finally stayed up all night, never went to sleep until, like, I was up till 8 in the morning. I stayed up literally all night reading this book. Like, wow. The Other Side of Now is a story that completely took me by surprise. I did not think I was going to love it. I thought it was going to be like a cute, fun story with magical realism, not knowing what I was getting myself into, mind you. And now I see why Dana really likes this book. I think Karina and Jasmine did too. Pretty sure. And wow, what an impact this had on me. I did not expect the emotions that came up in me while reading this. And, like, the alternate realities aspect of this book and what it means to truly understand who you are and to grow into your own and be a better you, and just wow. I had so many amazing quotes in this book. I should have highlighted some because I read on my Kindle. I could have highlighted a bunch of stuff. I don't know why I didn't. Probably because I was addicted. I didn't want to put it down. I just wanted to keep going and going. I was so sad when this book ended. And the way that it ended, I'm like, what an interesting way to go about this. Like, I did not expect it to go this route. It had such an emotional impact on me. It couldn't be any less than a 5-star. It was incredible. Like, I haven't had a 5-star since it rewinded back in June. This had me in a chokehold. I literally was like, what's gonna happen? What's gonna happen? And the way that, like, the alternate realities kind of converged in a way, like the way that it kind of left off, made me wish there was more. I didn't want that alternate reality to, like, well, I don't want to talk about too much about the alternate reality because I will spoil stuff. But you need to read this book. I mean, the emotional impact that it had on me was huge. Like, I teared up so much, like, it wasn't even funny. It didn't have that emotional impact on me in the beginning, but as I kept going, I'm like, okay, this has me. So if you're not sure about this book because you haven't heard much about it or for whatever reason, you really need to pick this up. I am so glad that I did. I was nervous about buying a physical copy of it off a book of the month, so I wasn't sure what I was going to think of it. But I might have to get a physical copy at some point because of how amazing this book was. It was, I could not believe the impact that it left on me. This will be a book that I will be thinking about for years to come. Years. It had that kind of impact. Wow. I'll be thinking about this years down the line. I'm telling you. But because it ended in such a high note, I think I'm going to end this vlog here. But this was so fun. I think I might do, like, a series of doing these types of videos. Because I'm really enjoying reading Libby books right now. So I'm probably going to start another vlog on reading more Libby books. But I wanted to end this one at a high. So because this one ended at a 5-star, that's where we're going to leave it. But I hope you enjoyed watching me read through my Libby books. And stay tuned for part 2 of me doing this because this is so much fun. So if you enjoyed listening to hear me yap about all these books, give me a huge thumbs up. If you want to see more bookish content and part 2 and part 3 and however many parts I end up doing of this, make sure you smash the subscribe button down below. as I whip my hair. And I will see you all in the next one.